After Anakin Skywalker pledged himself to Darth Sidious and the Sith, he would go directly to the Jedi Temple and commit unspeakable acts, murdering all of the Jedi in the temple, with the worst being the younglings, who would have been the next generation of Jedi. Although Anakin thought he was doing the right thing in order to save Padme, it would all be for nothing. He would lose everything and everyone he cared about, except for Palpatine, and would be forced to live in a compromised life support suit for the rest of his life. Obi-Wan Kenobi finding out it was Anakin, his own apprentice, the boy who was like his brother, who was the one who betrayed the Jedi, is truly heartbreaking to watch. His thoughts while learning Anakin joined the dark side and murdered all of the Jedi are shown in detail in the novelization of Revenge of the Sith. Obi-Wan Kenobi stepped over white armored bodies to kneel beside blaster-burned corpses of children. Tears flowed down Obi-Wan's face. He stated not even the youngling survived. It looks like they made a stand here. Yoda's face creased with ancient sadness. Obi-Wan turned to another body, an older one, a Jedi fully mature and beyond. It was the Master Swordsman, Sindralik. Master Yoda mentioned he wouldn't abandon his young students and gave his life for them. Obi-Wan sank to his knees beside the fallen Jedi, saying he was his lightsaber instructor. Yoda moved closer and, using his gimmer stick, pointed at a bloodless gash in Dralik's shoulder that buried deep into his chest. An icy void opened in Obi-Wan's heart. It swallowed his pain and his grief. He couldn't believe he had been killed by a lightsaber instead of a blaster from a clone trooper. Obi-Wan immediately told Yoda he would learn who did this. Yoda shook his head with sadness, saying he already truly knew who was to blame. Obi-Wan then altered the calibration to flip the signal from come home to run and hide, saving any stragglers who would have returned to the temple and have been killed. This was all that could be done for any surviving Jedi, a warning to give them a fighting chance. Obi-Wan turned from the recall beacon to the internal security scans. He had to find out exactly what he was warning the Jedi against. Yoda pressed Obi-Wan, telling him they must leave before being discovered, but Obi-Wan had to see it. He knew deep down the truth, but seeing it is another thing entirely. He keyed a code that brought up a holoscan of the Room of 1,000 Fountains. He was not afraid. Stone-faced, Obi-Wan watched younglings run into a room, fleeing a storm of blaster fire. And then Obi-Wan noticed a lightsaber flick into the shot, cutting down one Padawan, and then the next. He watched the stride of a caped figure who hacked through Sindralik's shoulder, then stood aside as the swordsman fell dying to let the rest of the clones blast the children themselves. Obi-Wan's expression never flickered. He opened himself up to what he was about to see. He was prepared and centered and trusting in the Force. Obi-Wan just stared, wishing that he had the strength to rip his eyes out of his head. But even blind, he would see this forever. He would see his friend, his student, his brother, kneel in front of a black-cloaked Lord of the Sith. His head ran with a silent scream. Obi-Wan somehow managed to shut down the holoscan. He leaned on the console, but his arms would not support him. They buckled, and he twisted to the floor. He huddled against the console, blind with pain. Obi-Wan said he should have let them shoot me, but he knew deep down it was already too late at Geonosis. Then he wished Darth Maul would have killed him on Naboo. Yoda pleaded Obi-Wan to stop this, and that no one can make a Jedi fall. Anakin Skywalker chose this himself. Obi-Wan couldn't meet the gaze of the Ancient Master, telling him he would destroy Palpatine. Yoda replied saying he would never be strong enough to face Darth Sidious, and if he did, he would die, and die painfully. Obi-Wan couldn't kill Anakin, but the boy he trained was gone, twisted by the dark side, and consumed by Darth Vader. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video and learned something new, feel free to like and subscribe. And remember, the Force will be with you, always.